without further ado, we shall get our teeth into the draws. As always, we're going to do men's and women's sort of quarter by quarter. Look forward to the next few weeks. Our predictions, maybe some bold, wild kind of
yes,
a new feature,
for this season.
New, and we'll at the end reveal our collect a set player picks. So yeah, keep your eyes and ears peeled for that, and make sure you send in your entries before the start of play, which is, as we were saying, a day earlier this year. So, well, without further ado, first quarter, number 1 seed, defending champion Jannik Sinner is headlining this section, and he's got home favourite Alex de Minaur as his projected quarterfinal opponent. Aside from Alex de Minaur, is there anyone in Sinner's section that you think could challenge him and stop him getting, to the final, essentially, to the semi-final?
We could make it interesting, Kim. We could say yes, but really I probably would say no. But I mean, it's a tough first round. Nicholas Jarry's only just not seeded, a finalist at a Masters last year in Rome. He's a tricky customer. Big serve on his day. Could he maybe take a set? Do you think he could cause a bit of trouble, Joel?
I think so. I actually think that's one of the more challenging ties that Sinner has on his projected path, because I look at his quarter. He's got, to me, like a few faded stars who didn't actually have great seasons, last year. You've got Holger Rune in there, Stefanos Tsitsipas. And Stefanos Tsitsipas is an interesting one to me because he's got quite a good record at the Australian Open. He's made the final here. He's made 3 semi-finals as well in the last 6 editions. He didn't have a great season last year. So I'm wondering whether, he can rediscover the magic, rediscover his mojo here, because he seems to be playing well here. But I don't really see a lot of trouble for Jannik Sinner, and his head-to-head as well against Alex de Minaur is pretty imposing. So I think he'll be pretty happy with what he's been given.
Yeah, it's a 9-0 head-to-head he's got over Alex de Minaur. So even given the fact that Alex de Minaur has had a fantastic 2024 season and he's playing in front of his home fans, you've got to go with Jannik Sinner for that one, haven't you, really? But we'll see. We'll see if they both even get there. I'm sure Sinner will. He seems pretty comfortable. I did want to draw attention to the Cameron Norrie Matteo Berrettini first round, which is quite
tasty.
Interesting.
It is, and that's in a good section of the draw where there will be some very interesting matches, because we have Berrettini Norrie, and then the winner of that plays either Zhang or Holger Rune, and potentially they could be Jannik Sinner's 4th round opponent. So we have seen Berrettini and Sinner have some good clashes at Wimbledon. It was particularly tasty. So he might be getting a bit more competition from some of the players who were unseeded in this part of the draw, because there is an opportunity probably in the second quarter of this quarter for a player, I think, to have quite a deep run, because the bottom half or the middle section of this does look quite open. I mean, Tsitsipas, Alex Mickelson.
It's there for Mannarino. It's there for the taking for Adrian Mannarino, isn't it?
It is. That's what we're saying. Absolutely.
We haven't discussed Mannarino for a long time, so maybe he just needs to do something.
He's not in the running for the French number 1. That's why.
Topic of conversation.
The weight is off. The weight is off.
It is.
Holger Rune, his opener, Zhizhen Zhang. Maybe not the easiest match. I mean, Chris,
I've got this on upset alert.
Yeah, I actually think this could be an upset. I think that, I think Holger has been struggling for form. He has been showing signs of better form, and he's been enjoying his tennis a bit more. But at the same time, the results haven't been coming. He had an early loss just in the opening match of the season that he played. He's been at the AO now for a while practicing. So hard to know whether he will be able to be competitive here. But I mean, Zhang's definitely a very good player. And I think that could be a tough one. I also think that, for de Minaur, it's actually not the easiest first round opponent. When you are playing at home for your country, he does love playing for his country. At home, it can be more challenging to get the results. He plays Botic van der Zandschulp, who's obviously ended Nadal's career. He's really been not necessarily doing so well on the tour, but he's been very big in the media because of that result. And he is a big match player. So there are no givens there. He's also taken out Carlos Alcaraz previously. Do you think it will be plain sailing for Alex de Minaur to make it to at least the quarterfinals?
He's been playing so well recently, but I do find it sort of interesting that it feels like there's a new level of pressure and expectation on him this season, given how good he was playing, towards the end of last season. I mean, even at UTS, he was at the grand finals, he was an absolute standout. So it'll be interesting to see how he manages that. He has managed it well in the past, but I do think there are some interesting characters around him. I mean, an unseeded Alexander Bublik could be
surely
quite
not.
interesting. I think that could be. I think maybe that could be quite interesting, but yeah, I don't see. I still think he'll be able to take it all in his stride, but it's certainly Sinner's quarter. I think
quite straightforward with thinking for the seeds in this section.
Yeah, I mean, Tsitsipas has a final behind him and 3 semis in the last 6 years at that AO. So although he's dropped out the top 10, we're not really talking about him too much. He could be a potential 4th round opponent for Alex de Minaur. Could come up a cropper there potentially, but I think for me it's Sinner coming through this section. One person he won't then have to play in the semi-final is Carlos Alcaraz, because they are actually in opposite sides of the draw for the first time.
We rejoice, Kim.
Like. So we could have a Sin Karaz Grand Slam final in Australia, which wouldn't that be something
tasty?
But the second quarter, we have Taylor Fritz and Daniil Medvedev as the top 2 seeds here. But we've also got the likes of Andre Rublev, Ben Shelton, Lorenzo Musetti, and I guess quite newly seeded Giovanni Pericard of France, who's certainly been making some waves of late. So Taylor Fritz obviously seeded to come out of this quarter. Do you think he's going to get there?
Oh, do you know what? I was looking at this. I think it's a little bit a tale of two halves in this quarter, because I actually think in the immediate surroundings of Fritz, you've got some pretty tricky customers. I mean, Musetti, Shelton, Pericard, all not seeds I think you particularly want to see near you. But on the other side, I think it's a little bit easier. I think it's a little bit open, and I think Medvedev will actually be looking at that, thinking, "Oh, I quite like this path that's been available to me." Whereas I think Fritz, on the other hand, will be like, "I've been dealt quite a tough opening week here."
Yeah, I think one of you had put on our little notes that you were irrationally annoyed about Fritz's draw because the bottom
that
half
must be Joel. Surely that's Joel.
Hey, I want Fritz to do well in this tournament, and I think he's been dealt. For the 4th seed, I think he's been dealt quite a challenging opening.
I'm not sure that's too difficult. I think
it could be worse.
I mean, I'm not sure what I've said in my predictions, actually. I'm thinking now, I think I actually had him going out quite early, but I think it could be worse. I mean, Jenson Booksby hasn't played on the tour since 2013. No, 2023, not 2013. So since he was a child.
That's a very long time.
Yeah, no, the Australian Open in 2023. So surely that would be almost a cert for him. So I think getting to the 3rd round won't be too difficult. And then we have to see if kind of Giovanni does continue his form.
Pericard Monfils in round 1.
That's quite a thrilling.
Well, Monfils is having a great week in Auckland, so that will hopefully get a good court, because that will be a big crowd pleaser. I think there's another match that, Kim, maybe this will have your attention: Nakashima versus Shelton.
All-American clash. Yeah, that could go 4 or 5 sets perhaps.
What about RBA Shapovalov? I mean, that would have been an exciting matchup like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
10 years ago.
Been a Wimbledon semi-final.
It could have actually on grass, maybe. We also have a few other interesting clashes. We've got the French player, Rinderknecht's taking on TFO. Rinderknecht can cause an upset. We've seen that before. Also, Popyrin, it's his first AO as a serious potential contender, having won that Masters Series towards the end of last year in Canada. Will he be able to set up what could be a mouth-watering clash with Daniil Medvedev? And would that be the biggest challenge that Medvedev might face, given his mastery over Rublev, Joel?
Yes, I would say so. As I say, I think Medvedev, he's got a nice journey here. And although we haven't got Sinner Alcaraz for the millionth time landing in the same half, Medvedev and Rublev, they just seem like kindred spirits. They seem to be like wrapped in each other's destiny like all the time. And again, I think Medvedev will be happy and maybe even breathing a sigh of relief, actually, that he's got Rublev.
The number 9 seed, which is quite surprising for Rublev, that he's actually not seeded for the quarterfinal at this stage. I think that's probably a testament to the fact that he hasn't had the results necessarily outside of the Masters win that he had last year. A player that we're not talking about, Lorenzo Musetti. What do we think about that? He's recently changed sponsorships, by the way. He's now with ASICS. He dropped Nike. So maybe the new sponsorship will help him, but he is an all-Italian first round against Arnaldi.
I mean, did Nike drop him rather than
I
him
think, I don't
Nike?
know, but surely he's very marketable, you'd think. I mean, Asics aren't Italian, so I'm not sure what went on there, but
I think that could be quite tight on Aldi versus
I'm not
Musetti.
sure if I think Musetti's going to come through that one.
Yeah.
Could be an upset. Yeah,
upset
wouldn't be
alert.
the biggest upset in the world. I know Musetti's the 16th seed, but he's not a sort of reliable, consistent
Flashes of
opponent
brilliance.
yet, is he? So
exactly.
We'll see. Right, let's move on to the bottom half of the draw where we've got Novak Djokovic in attendance, and he has found himself in the same quarter as Carlos Alcaraz. So we could get a Carlos Alcaraz Novak Djokovic quarterfinal, which I think would definitely be the blockbuster quarterfinal.
Tasty, yes.
Especially
Do we think we're going to get it?
And Andy Murray.
Yes.
I think I've predicted it. Yes.
I think so.
What? Okay,
What
another way of framing it.
Okay.
What is stopping it happening?
Nishesh Basavaredi could stop Djokovic in the first round. He's a wild card from the USA, and he's got to the semis
in Auckland.
Auckland this week.
Yeah.
Although
he's
got tired.
He's got Monfils again. Actually, he lost to Monfils, I believe, in Brisbane last week, and now he's got Monfils again in the semis.
We have a dangerous Lehechka. He could be dangerous for Djokovic at some point. I mean,
or Thomas Machak.
He's a very talented player. Opelka.
Riley Opelka.
So I think
we could have a repeat. Yeah.
I think based on the talent levels that they both have, you'd have to think they would come through. But Alcaraz hasn't always played that well in Australia, I would say. I think Djokovic's been practicing well. I've seen some of those practice sets he's been playing, look quite comfortable against Jack Draper. Also look pretty comfortable with some of the other players he's been practicing against. But I mean, Jack Draper, could he be the challenger that could stop Carlos Alcaraz?
It's hard to know at the moment. I feel like his preparations for Melbourne have been slightly hampered by
no warm-up
tournament. Yep. So I'm not really sure what to expect of him. Obviously, we know he's a very talented individual, and I think he's got quite a nice draw to begin with. But again, it gets quite tricky, I think, quite early on.
Kokkinakis round two. That could be tricky.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack on the injury side of things, I saw some pictures of him. He has definitely been working hard on the off-season. Yeah. He looks like he's really been on the bulk. He looks huge. So I think I was slightly surprised to see that, given the fact he pulled out because of injury, because he looks physically stronger than I've ever seen him. So maybe it was a case of putting some more time in to get prepared for it. But I mean, last Grand Slam, semi-finalist, surely he's hungry for more. Do you think he will be living up to his seeding of 15, Kim?
I'm going to err on the negative side just because we haven't seen him in any prep before the AO. And I don't know, 15th seed, is there a bit more pressure on him because of what he did at the US? So, he's expected to come through, his first few rounds comfortably. And Kokkinakis at home with the crowd, that could go 5. That could be an upset.
It could get messy. I can see that. It could get a tricky one to put away. But on Djokovic, we do have to talk about him. Andy Murray's in his corner. Will this make a difference? And can he go further than the semi-final last year? No one's looking confident.
I don't think Djokovic needs Andy Murray. I think he could do it himself on his own. That's no sort of disrespect for Andy Murray, but I think it's nice for him to have him there. But I don't. I think Djokovic could beat Alcaraz in the quarters.
Oh, I'm not sure about that.
I could see that.
What Djokovic
sure
shows
about
up. I mean, what is he, the 9 times champion, or is he already the 10 times champion?
I mean,
he's won this thing so many times. So how can we ever really fully count him out?
There'll be some.
I'm counting him out. I just
counting him out.
I just can't
the Olympic
see,
gold medalist.
I can't
25
see based on the form we saw
then.
last season. I still struggle to see. I still struggle to see it, and I see him at the was it Kids Day or the exhibition event this week, and he's there, he's having fun, and I'm almost like he's having too much fun. I feel like he should be a bit more.
But isn't that what some of the players said to us, that they think when you get to the point that you've been playing for so long, having fun, having Andy Murray in your corner.
But does that breed, success, champion mentality?
I don't know.
I think it allows you to relax though. And I think his last season, he was so focused on the Olympic gold. He's got that now. So surely the one thing he's now focused on is Slam 25.
And that's what Billie Jean,
that focus. then that makes him dangerous.
And that's what
It's just
Billie
whether the
Jean King
body
said. She said
lasts.
he needs to pick one thing he wants to win like last season and then go for it. And so probably pick a slam then, but I'm not sure necessarily it would be Australia. Probably would be another Wimbledon, do we think? But either
Another
way,
French, maybe.
oh, another French.
Might
Either
want to
way, I
prove
mean,
himself a bit more on the
he
clay.
you can never count out Novak Djokovic.
No. Well, let's finally look at the last quarter because Sasha Zverev is the number 2 seed. So he is down at the very bottom of the draw. Obviously, still hunting for that very first Grand Slam after coming close a few times. He has got Casper Ruud in his section of the draw. He's got the likes of Tommy Paul, Ugo Humbert, Arthur Fee, Felix Auger-Aliassime. So, I mean, from my perspective, I think Zverev's got quite a tasty draw. And I think he could do quite well. Whether he's going to go all the way is another thing. But is there anyone you think is going to upset him from this quarter? And
I would
Chris, specifically
love.
Casper Ruud.
Oh
do you
yeah,
think he's going to do
obviously.
well?
I've gone quite hard on that last week. And a listener actually did write in to say that I was correct. He had made 2 finals in 1 year, so I did feel better about that. Um, I think Nick Kyrgios, I don't know what his form's like. He has talked about the fact he has got an issue with that wrist. If he can not play too much tennis, I also think he could be dangerous. I think he'll make it through his first round. I think you probably can get a better seed than Baez on a hard court. It could mean a third round without too much difficulty potentially. I'm not sure he's going to beat Zverev, but I do think Zverev would not enjoy playing in those conditions up against a Nick Kyrgios type in Australia in the evening session with the whole crowd against him. I think that's the sort of situation and the pressure that does rile him. But do I think that Zverev is going to have another deep run here? I do. I think probably the sections where something exciting could happen would be it's in this section of the draw. I think Zverev is more of a cert for me, but I do think it's a bit more wide open the rest of it.
I think Fee is more of a threat to Zverev than Kyrgios. Actually, I think Kyrgios is. There's questions obviously around Kyrgios's body. I think, as I say, I think from what we've seen of him, I think his tennis has been pretty decent. But best of 5, I just wonder whether he's actually going to make
the fitness. That was a big question.
But certainly Fee, I think, is possibly ready to do something with the draw he's been given because it does feel quite open. You know, where he is in the draw could face maybe Zverev in round 4. And as you said, like putting Zverev under pressure later on in the tournaments, that's the bit where he sort of comes unstuck. And I wonder if Fee is there to take advantage.
What about your pick, Kim? You know, we've got Jakub Mensik. He's also there.
I did say he was going to be my breakthrough of the season. So
is it happening here?
Well, I haven't actually gone. We'll do our predictions in a minute. I haven't gone for him to go and come out of this quarter, but I think he could make some inroads. Okay. He could beat Ruud in the second round.
No, please no.
Sorry, Chris. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyrgios withdrew like on the eve of the tournament or his match, to be honest. But that might benefit Jacob Fernley, who's his British first round opponent. So could give Jacob a bit more of an extra chance. Or Fernley could, do it anyway. So it'd be good to see him in the AO. I think Felix Auger-Aliassime could spring a little surprise here. It's about time that he resurrected
Kim, I'm gonna lay some facts for you. Jan-Lennard Struff is going to dump out Felix Auger-Aliassime.
No, it's not going to happen. I won't let it. But
you've got a real soft spot for Felix at the moment, don't you, Kim?
Well, I just think it's a nice chat.
That's a tough first round match, though. I would say Struff, a smooth operator in Grand Slams. Never really gives an inch or is too erratic. But I think that could be quite a tricky one for FAA opening.
Yeah, I just feel FAA was someone a bit like a Dimitrov, lots of promise as a youngster, never quite, fulfilled it. I know Dimitrov's had a few slam semis, but it was very nice when these players finally kind of get to the point that you expected them to get to. And I think with Felix, I'm still really hoping
there's still time
to do that. Yeah, and there's still time. Yes, absolutely. So let's make our predictions now. We're going to do, I think, quarterfinals first, and then we'll do semis, finals, who our winner is. Let's see how similar we have them or how different they might be. So let's do quarter by quarter. We'll just read them all out. Quarter 1, I'm coming to you, Chris, first of all.
Ooh, quarter 1. Sinner versus de Minaur.
Joel?
Sinner versus de Minaur.
Oh, it's a three-peat. Sinner versus Minaur. Okay, so we've all gone for the same. Very consistent.
Cutting edge insight from Tennis Weekly.
I know. Just, the top seeds from that
We're
quarter. There
rarely
we go.
in
Nice
agreement,
and
are we?
Quarter 2, Chris.
I've gone Pericard Medvedev.
Oh, I've also gone for Pericard, but I've gone for Popyrin, and I put why not in my little notes.
Why not, Kim?
I mean, he'll probably collapse under the pressure of the
Kim,
home
I want to
crowd,
say what,
but...
just why?
Goodness. I
Well,
hope he doesn't
why
listen.
not?
You could do anything.
I believe in him. Joel?
I've gone Fritz Tiafoe.
Oh, all American. Okay.
Yeah, all American.
We do
Very
not agree with you at
different
all. We do not have Fritz.
And quarter 3, Chris.
I hope it's a three-peat again of Djokovic Alcaraz.
I'm in for that. That's what I've put. Joel?
I've gone the same. I can't see it not being Djokovic Alcaraz.
Yep. So we're all consistent there. And finally, quarter 4, Chris.
I've got Casper Ruud versus Zverev.
Always putting the Scandinavians
I have
in there,
I need to pick one.
Joel?
We've not spoken about him, and I always feel like he goes under the radar in every single draw he plays. Tommy Paul,
former
versus
semi-finalist.
Zverev.
Yeah, that's a good shout. And yeah, I've gone for Zverev as well, like both of you, but I have gone for Felix Auger-Aliassime. So call that wishful thinking. Let's see what happens. Right, so semi-finals now. Semi-final. Give me both your semi-finals. So all 4 semi-finalists, please. Chris?
Sinner versus Medvedev. And then Joel, please don't laugh at me. I've gone Alcaraz versus Ruud.
I'm saying nothing.
Okay. That says a lot.
We've had that matchup.
But I'm also saying everything.
Yes.
Joel, what about you? Anything we can laugh at?
Sinner, Fritz, Alcaraz, Zverev.
Okay.
Wait, is that the seeds?
Oh, it might be.
It is, isn't it?
It is. You've done 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sure.
Of course he has.
No imagination.
Just spice it up a bit. Come on.
I should have spiced it up. That's not going to happen, is it? Okay. But yeah, that's what I'm going for. Top 4 seeds.
Well, I've gone for Oh, no, I haven't actually. I've only gone for 2 of the seeds. I've gone for Sinner versus Pericard. So I think Pericard's going to make the semis. And I've gone for Djokovic Zverev. So I'm taking Djokovic over Alcaraz.
That is interesting. I just couldn't do it in the end. I just didn't know with the injuries what might be happening there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, so final and champion, please. Chris?
Well, I'll actually just say Joel, so I'm pretty sure he's gone 1 versus 2 with 1 winning. But I can't guarantee that's what's happened. But I've gone for Sinner versus Alcaraz. And I do think that, unfortunately, I have to say the number 1 seed, not because I don't support Jannik Sinner, but because that is probably what Joel has done as well.
And Joel, have you done that?
I have done exactly that. Sinner, Zverev in the final, champion Jannik Sinner. He's just on another level on hard courts at the moment. It's the boring answer, but I think it's the right answer.
Well, I've gone Sinner Zverev, and I've gone Sinner as well. So we are all predicting Jannik Sinner.
So I have gone the least,
title.
the most rogue by saying Alcaraz because he's not the number 2 seed. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you're making full use of the fact they're in different halves to get into the final. Sinker as it is for you. Well, let's see. We all think it's going to be Sinner, but that doesn't mean that our predictions all have to be kind of run-of-the-mill top seed winning. We are going to make a bold prediction, which is something
new
rogue. New feature. Who would like to take the plunge and
go on, Joel?
Their prediction first.
Okay, my bold prediction is Kei Nishikori will take Tommy Paul to 5 sets in the second round before running out of steam.
He might.
That's my bold prediction.
The seams of his shorts might unravel.
Yes. In the heat.
In the heat of Australia. Okay, Kei Nishikori. Well, we did see him very recently in a final, didn't we? Yeah. So that's not a bad. How bold is that? I don't know.
I'm not sure how bold that is.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, I've gone for Jenson Booksby, who hasn't played in 11 or 12 years. No, 1 or 2 years. I've gone with him to come back with a bang and beat Fritz in this first round, which, very
his
questionable.
First match back.
Fritz won't know what to expect.
I think he might not get more than 4 games.
Just to clarify, we said bold prediction, not deluded prediction.
Well, remember in the last podcast, you did both think that maybe Nadal was going to come back or start coaching. So there was a little bit of far-fetched thinking there. I've probably gone in between you two in terms of boldness. I think the Berrettini might have a match point against Sinner, or he will at least serve for the match. I'm not sure how many sets that will be, but I do think that's going to be a real turning point for Sinner, and then he's just going to run away with the victory.
An Italian clash there. I mean, regardless of what happens, I'm just looking forward to watching some good tennis with a packet of Tim Tams, because if there's any excuse to get them,
I've never had one,
it's the
Kim.
Australian Open. You've never had a Tim Tam?
Never knowingly or winningly.
Well, we now get them in the supermarkets in the UK. So
We'll have to try them.
I'm delighted about that fact. And hopefully we could maybe send some over to you in Denmark if you can't get them anywhere else.